Welcome to That's What She Pled, with attorneys Christina Goldberg and Julie Luhrsen from Luhrsen Goldberg, LLC, law powered by women. It's time to shake up the old standards of law and of business. Join these two witty, intelligent, and sassy female business owners who are taking their industry by storm, challenging stereotypes and shattering ceilings. These two are on a mission to educate, empower, and support not only their own clients, but other powerhouse female entrepreneurs. Come for a laugh and stay for the vibe as Julie and Christina hold nothing back and share the truth of what it is to be female attorneys and business owners through discussion of current events, original stories, and inspiring guests. Now, on to the show.
Welcome, everybody, to That's What She Pled. I am Christina Goldberg, and my law partner, Julie Luhrsen, is here with me.
Good morning,
we have a Valentine's Day show for you.
It's our view of it's our jaded, cynical. This is what you get when you ask a lawyer.
Ish. We don't want to be super jaded. I don't have a Valentine yet. We'll see if I find one in the next. We're recording just a couple of weeks before Valentine's Day, but we have some funny stuff to talk about, some interesting stuff, some questions that we actually get quite a bit. And then
it's true.
Just depends on how quickly we work our way through, if we've got some extra kind of fun stuff to chat through, but we shall see. Julie, set us off with some, I know you got some facts from a really funny website. Actually.
Well, so let's talk about Valentine's Day and in the context of engagement rings. Now, I wanted to be prepared, so I did my research and I found the website called womengettingmarried.com. Nice.
This is original. I love it.
Anyway, according to that website, Valentine's Day is the second most popular day to get engaged. The first being Christmas. So anyway, with that, it's a natural segue to talk about, the ring and all things having to do with the ring. And in particular,
size matters? Is that what you mean? Sorry.
No, Christy. I want to talk about what happens when things go south with the ring.
The ring?
Do you, for instance, you're engaged and you've got this big, beautiful bauble on your left hand, and then something happens and now you're no longer engaged. Who gets the ring? Do you get to keep it or do you have to give it back? We're talking about what happens in Florida, probably similar in a lot of places, but in Florida, the engagement ring is considered a conditional gift. So it's a gift conditioned on actually, getting married, going to the church and all that, exchanging vows. If the person with the ring, presumably the woman in most cases, is the one who breaks off the engagement, she's broken the condition and therefore she may need to return the ring. Now, we're not talking about what the right thing to do is, but, if it push were to come to shove and let's say it ended up in court, the court would most likely order you to return that bauble to your ex, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you're looking at who broke off. No, you're right. Looking at who actually did the breaking of the engagement. I mean, you can look at just from a pure legal standard, you can look at the ring is consideration for a contract, right? To enter into a legally binding contract in Florida, we're talking about you've got to have consideration, meaning each party gives up something for the benefit of the whole, basically. So you've got to show that each party is giving something up to enter into this contract, spending money on something, whatever it is. So the ring purchased by the guy is his consideration for this contract. And so you're looking at who really broke off the engagement when determining whether you need to return the ring.
Right. And the gal, on the other hand, is giving up all the single ladies' days.
I should get you songs.
I know.
It's like Beyonce.
Where's Beyonce when we need her? Anyway, so that means if the guy is the one to break off the engagement, in theory, she can keep the ring. Now, one might wonder, like, why do you want to keep this reminder of something that didn't work out? But that's a philosophical conversation. We're just going to talk legal stuff here, right?
That would be. I mean, well, and I mean, we're talking engagement. So we're talking premarital gift. And
right.
There's the different, obviously, once you've been married and what happens in the divorce, typically that would be agreed to in the divorce decree, the marital settlement agreement, whatever it is. But it's funny, when my mom and dad got divorced, my father actually demanded the engagement ring back as part of their divorce. And so my mother, I love her, said, "Oh yeah, you want it back? I got you." She took the ring to a jeweler, had the stone replaced with a CZ, and gave him the ring back. Well, in the meantime, she kept the stone and gave it to me. And so I actually have it. The ring on my right hand is that.
I did not know that.
Yes, the center stone on that ring is I love my mom so freaking much. I'm so proud of her stone, because she said, "No, this was the start of Christy. I am keeping this," and she's getting it and she's wearing it. And so I had this made, and that's one of the 3 larger stones that's in it. Yeah.
Very cool. Well, so you know what? It reminds me of a story about somebody else that we know, who shall go unnamed, who, when her engagement was broken shortly before her wedding, she kept the ring. And then the funny sort of part is, she decided, you know what, I'm going to sell this ring. I've already spent a lot of money that I'm never going to get back on this, what was supposed to be a very soon to be wedding. And she sold it to a couple, and it was an upgrade. It was in honor of, I think, their 20th wedding anniversary.
Mm-hmm.
And so, as an anniversary gift, they decided to buy this ring, like I said, as an upgrade and in celebration. Anyway, the funniest part was this lady came back a couple weeks later and said, "You know what? This is just too much for me. Can I return it? It's too blingy." I mean, who does that? Diamonds are a girl's best friend. Anyway, to her credit, she said, "No, I'm not a jewelry store. It's yours.
It's yours."
So anyway, who knows who has that ring currently? Maybe she went on to sell it too, but yes.
Too flashy. There's no such people. No, there's no such thing as too blingy. So there's a lot of times you'll have back to engagement.
Back to the law.
A lot of times you'll have a man will propose with maybe a family heirloom ring. My ex-husband, here, another story about me. My ex-husband proposed with his grandmother's engagement stone. Oh my gosh, what a treasure. I actually still have it, because as when we divorced, I said, "Listen, I want to keep this for Matthew." And so we agreed, yep, keep it safe. It's going to Matthew. It's a family heirloom. But again, that was an agreement that we made. There is no premarital though, or marital. There's no specialized law or statute governing the rings if they're family heirlooms.
Yeah. So it's mostly going to be determined on, okay, who was this, just an engagement ring, no actual marriage, and who was the one, who was the breaker and who's the breakee.
Right.
Because once you're married, it's, the condition has been met, and honestly, the ring belonged to you, Christy, even though it was, a family heirloom from the other side.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not one of those things that in the course of getting divorced, the courts will, decide, okay, this is some property that we need to figure out how to split.
Right. And there is some argument, because with everything, I mean, you can have a law and you can have precedent, but the law is always changing. There has been quietly some argument. Listen, if you are proposing on a holiday, or if you are proposing on a birthday, certainly if you're proposing, I certainly hope that you don't have it in your mind that eventually the whole thing is going to fall apart. You're going to break off the engagement. However, in theory, the argument could be made that the ring is a gift.
Right.
So just one more thing to
Christmas gift, a birthday gift.
Exactly. And as a gift, that's not something you don't just get to go back after and say, "Hey, I want my gift back." No, it's a gift. So depending, even if your fiance, the woman, the one receiving the ring, says, "No, never mind, I don't want to get married," she could argue, "Yeah, but you gave me this gift. This was my Christmas gift. You didn't get me anything else
for turning 21."
Right.
Yeah.
So just be careful with that as well. And that's just one of those, you can convict on circumstantial evidence, and you can maybe keep your ring on the same thing.
Now, you can always also, of course, enter into an actual contract. And we call them prenups, right? So maybe as part of your prenup, you discuss, or you address who gets the ring should things go subsequently sideways. after you're married. And therefore, in other words, the guy gets the ring back. Maybe because it's a family heirloom. Who knows? Speaking of prenups, it's very romantic.
It's another song. We want prenup. I want Laura to have that hold music. That wouldn't be classy.
No, I'm going to veto that idea.
Fine.
Anyway, in Florida, we actually have a statute on the books that specifically talks about prenuptial agreements, or prenups, as we like to call them. It's a contract. And like Christy mentioned a few minutes ago, it's a contract that's made in contemplation of marriage. So in that situation, the consideration, which is part of what's required when you enter into a contract, each party gives up something or gives something. The consideration in that situation is the actual marriage. So what that really looks like in reality is that nobody's actually giving. There isn't any actual trading of money or consideration. It's just this upcoming marriage. Anyway, prenups, they have to be in writing. Both parties need to sign them. And it can pretty much address anything, including engagement rings. It can address real estate, my tool collection, anything and everything. Yep. My retirement accounts, my investments,
life insurance, and
we can talk
alimony.
How my will is going to be set up to help you or not. As long as it's not about committing a crime or doing something that's like really against public policy, you can reach an agreement about it. You cannot talk about child support. So if you guys have kids, you can't agree that I'm never going to pay child support or anything like that. That's not going to fly. But
right, totally separate. But yeah,
as long as there's no fraud or duress or coercion, So for instance, if it's our wedding day and I'm getting dressed and suddenly my fiance shows up with this 25-page document that he wants me to sign, in which I agree to give up all kinds of things, presumably that prenup is going to be suspect. Let's just put it that way. Yep. Because at this point, I just want to get married. I'll do anything to marry my Prince Charming. Even
everybody's here, and
so
cakes on the table. Yeah.
You also, so basically you got to have time to be able to review it, and you got to understand, what kind of situation your fiance is in. Likewise, you need to be able to share that situation with your fiance in terms of, I've got all this money in the bank, or I've got all this debt, or whatever the case may be. So there's sort of full disclosure before people agree to do or give up certain things. But that's pretty much prenup law in a nutshell.
Yeah. And you can agree, actually, it would have been, I didn't think about it, but I know that there are some like celebrity prenups that I've heard. I think Justin Timberlake and Jessica Biel actually put something in their prenup about if he cheated, the amount of money that she would get. Or, I mean, you can put penalties in there. I mean, you can contract to basically anything as long as it's legal.
Right.
But that is one of the ones that I've heard about. I don't even remember where it was, but there was something specific in there that that if he cheats, she immediately
marriage
gets
and
X amount of
contemplation
money.
of I'm going to cheat agreement.
I mean, I guess you have to be somewhat realistic. I mean, if you're in the position where you're constantly traveling and surrounded by women who are trying to throw themselves at you, and I don't know. But
interesting.
Hey, whatever.
You still got married?
So let's say you get married without thinking about the prenup, and you realize, maybe that wasn't a great idea. Right. There are also postnups that one can enter into. I would imagine that would be a more difficult discussion to have with your spouse, because gosh, we're already married. And so what are you doing thinking about a postnup if you're not planning for something to go sideways? But they do exist. Yep. A postnup is actually it's maybe a little bit more difficult in Florida because you're looking at bigger disclosures. I mean, you've got to have a full financial disclosure, and this actually needs consideration. It needs something. Yeah. The marriage has already happened. So that contract was entered into. That's not the same as this postnup.
No.
Right. So it does need consideration or the requisite quid pro quo, give and take.
Yep.
For it to be deemed valid. So it's got to be in writing. It's got to be signed by both parties. It would be very wise for each party to obtain their own counsel if this is something that you decide you're going to do.
Separate counsel.
Exactly. Separate counsel. Yes. So it can impact alimony, equitable distribution,
the will, the trust,
wills, trust, homestead, all of the things. So
the engagement ring.
Yep.
The wedding ring.
Exactly.
Those things. Not child support, but
no, nothing can ever, you can't.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. You can't.
The court is always going to maintain jurisdiction over child support, and child support figures are child support figures. They are what they are. They're statutory in Florida.
Excuse me. Yes, you. Thanks so much for listening to That's What She Pled. We hope you're enjoying it so far. If you have any questions or would like to talk more about this topic, you can find us at lawpoweredbywomen.com. And all of our social media platforms are listed in the show notes.
So there's not much you're going to be able to do to get around that. And it's based on how much you make and how much your spouse makes.
Yep.
Or your ex-spouse.
How many kids. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All those good things.
Yeah.
Well, so that's super romantic. You know,
that's great, right?
Talking about the stuff when you're in a relationship and who gets what.
Yeah.
Well, we can talk romantic?
We can talk about diamonds real quick in a more fun way. Let's round that out. So who among us? I mean, I've been married, but I think I would like to get married again, and certainly, have fun sometimes looking at
a bauble.
I don't have, like I said, I don't have a Valentine, but hey, I can look at baubles. So just some fun facts. So in the United States, the average size of an engagement ring, and this is as of November of 2022, this actually surprised me, but the average size of an engagement ring center diamond is between 0.8 and 1.2 carats. It actually surprised me that it is so small.
Really?
Yeah. And that's not a small stone, but it's
1 carat. It's not.
It's
respectable.
No, it is respectable, but it surprised me. What's funny is that compared to overseas, their average is like 0.3 to 0.5. I mean,
much more modest.
Much more modest. Kind of, I would have said tiny, but modest. Yeah. This actually, it does vary, obviously, in the United States. So like Los Angeles average is 0.83. New York is 1.45.
Got to be flashy.
Yeah. Miami 1.08. So it's interesting kind of in different parts of the United States, what you find about diamonds. So a few little tips about buying a diamond if you're looking to do that. So the key is always get the best cut possible. So the quality of the cut actually is what decides how sparkly your stone is. So if you sacrifice the cut for the carat, you're going to end up with a big dull stone. And that's not what you want, because you want to go into that restaurant with your girl with the restaurant lights and it just blinds everybody. That's what she wants. Yeah.
What are the 3 C's? Cut, carat, and clarity.
Color, cut, carat.
Oh, color. 4 C's.
There's 4.
Excuse me.
There are 4 C's, Julie, but the cut is actually the most important. So there are also magic numbers. So every half carat, every 0.5 carat is sort of like some pricing cutoff or whatever. So if you can go so if you're looking for a 1 carat stone, if you go with a 0.9 carat or 0.95 carat, I mean, you can drop the price significantly just by going just below, and you'd really kind of never
to the
know.
eye.
Right. Clarity, you can get a diamond lower in clarity. So clarity is actually the best area to save some money, because most flaws they're too small to be seen by the naked eye. So clarity, I mean, if you're looking at it under the little what do they call it?
Microscope. Yeah, I don't know. The
diamond thing. Yeah, the jeweler eye thing. If you're looking at it, you can see it, but who has one of those? And like, hey, let me see your engagement stone. Was it a loop? Yeah, because anyway. And then to make it appear larger, the stone, if you're looking for that, then it's a halo setting. So tiny stones encircling the main stone. A very thin band will help that center stone pop, especially if you go to solitaire, or a fancy cut. So a pair or a marquee actually face up larger for a stone. So there's some tips for all
Listen to Christy.
all the men listening to us who are looking to propose.
Yes.
See,
advice.
That's lighthearted and happy Valentine Day talk.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then, you can talk about the prenup later.
Yes, exactly.
All right. Well, so we should probably get out of engagement rings and segue into something else Valentine's Day related. And I have another really uplifting subject that we could broach, and that has to do with Valentine's Day shorthand VD, STD, HPV, and all that good stuff. You may remember from one of our earlier pods that we talked to you about the case out in the Missouri, Kansas area, in which a former boyfriend and girlfriend who had exchanged all kinds of things, including bodily fluids in the backseat of his car. One thing led to another, and she ended up suing him because she caught an STD from him. Mm-hmm. And she ended up getting a $5.2 million award.
Yeah, she did.
Yeah.
Worth it.
So, yeah.
Bad joke.
Anyway, background was she caught this STD presumably in the back seat of his car. Or maybe it was front seat. I really don't know that detail. I'm making assumptions here.
Was it a stick shift? We don't know.
Okay. Anyway, she sent a demand, so to speak, to his insurance company, Geico, and said, hey, we were using the motor vehicle and he has insurance coverage, pay up. And Geico said, that's not what we mean. That's not normal use.
Not normal use of the vehicle. I disagree.
I would beg to differ. I don't have a statistic on this, but I'm pretty sure that there's lots of sex that goes on in the backseat of lots of cars. Geico, you should have drafted a better policy. Anyway, I digress. Anyway, subsequently, they also said, yeah, we're out. We're not going to get involved. An arbitrator made this big award in her favor. It was upheld by the Missouri Supreme Court. And Geico was not happy, and they appealed. And just this month, the Missouri Supreme Court obliged and basically overturned that award, sent the case back down again, and said that Geico should have been given a chance to jump into the lawsuit. They had been denied that opportunity at some point pretty late in the game. So there's going to be a part 2, more to follow. We shall see if, the jury buys onto the story and what they think it's worth and that sort of thing. And then I guess the corollary part to the story was separately, Geico has a case pending in federal court in Kansas. This is where I'm not sure where these people were living or whatever. But in any case, it's called a declaratory judgment action. They've gone to court asking the court to declare that no, this policy as drafted by Geico does not actually cover this kind of bodily injury. So,
it's interesting because the language in the policy that they're pointing to is quote sexual molestation or physical or mental abuse. Obviously, as a lawyer, I'm looking at that going, define
consensual.
Those. Yeah. Define what are the definitions of those, because I'm not certain either one of those is going to apply.
Right.
But also interesting. Did you see anywhere, Julie, did Geico actually include the plaintiff in that deck action? Did they serve them notice of that deck action?
I do not know the answer to that.
Because that's always fascinating.
That's been ongoing for a while, I believe. I'm pretty sure that was we discussed that in our last podcast. So I just don't know where that stands. I just sort of, to give the full picture, we've got the actual, this is an injury claim lawsuit that's going on. And then separately, does this policy really cover this kind of thing or not?
Right. Well, interestingly, I actually, because we run into that and much more recently, nothing nearly as fun as this particular case, but
darn it,
with unpaid bills, I'll file a suit on behalf of a corporate client to get unpaid medical bills. paid, and then out of nowhere I get a motion to dismiss from the insurance company. I could name, there's one insurance company that is guilty of this time and time and time again. I won't call it out, but
I wonder who.
I will get notice from them, a motion to dismiss from them saying, no, there's already a pending action. Excuse me, your little pending action involves my client. You didn't serve my client. You didn't name my client. And you're now making your arguments, going and getting your judgment without anybody present to argue against it. So that just makes me think this sounds like that same game that these insurance carriers play, that in the meantime, Geico, and again, I don't know what Geico was doing, but potentially in the background, Geico's going, oh, now we're going to go do this
forum shop route.
Yeah. And we're going to go get the ruling that we want to be able to hold it over somebody's head, even though the ruling that we got because we didn't involve anybody or let anybody make an argument. So,
and ironically, the reason why they've now prevailed in this subsequent, in the underlying injury claim, is because they were not involved in the actual determination of the damage award and should have been. Mm-hmm. So if they've excluded the injured party in their deck action, it should be consistent, I guess. What's good for the goose should be good for the gander. So
exactly. It's interesting.
Have it both ways.
Yeah.
So
yeah, for sure.
All right. So, venereal diseases, Valentine's Day, it's,
well, it's still Valentine's Day still falls in like cuffing season, right? So like cuffing season starts in the fall and people pair up and they're in exclusive relationships, and Valentine's Day I think is still in there. So
yeah,
hopefully no random unsafe hookups for Valentine's Day. It's sacred, people. Sacred.
So let's find something fun to wrap up on, and let's talk about roses and the meaning behind that bouquet that you receive on Valentine's Day. Are they red roses? Listen, red roses, what does that mean? It's all about love. I love you, passion, romance. So I guess the most coveted dozen roses you should hope to have delivered to you on Valentine's Day would be a bouquet of red roses.
That's
Yay.
right. Obviously, it's a sign.
Yeah. What roses?
There's some other ones though that are
one.
Which ones
do we not want to see?
The research on this was fascinating. The ones that there's black roses. Come on.
Yeah.
They're man-made, but they exist. And they represent death, basically. The ending of a feeling, an idea, or relationship. So if you're getting black roses on Valentine's Day, your relationship's over. Just for the record. It's kind of the same with blue, a little bit, maybe, but blue is more mystery, illusion. They could, in theory, represent just intense desire, intense lust, but I don't know. I don't know. Stay away from the blue and black roses, gentlemen. Not interested.
Yeah. And I listened to this radio show, and it's out of Philadelphia, where apparently there is a jeweler named Steven Singer, and his trademark is I hate stevensinger.com. And he's known, he's known for a couple of things. He has some kind of upgrade exchange policy. Any diamonds you buy, you can later return as you're upgrading, and you get I guess you get full credit for your original purchase. Mm-hmm. But at Valentine's Day, every year, he has a rose, a gold dipped colored rose that you can purchase for your loved one. This year it's periwinkle. It's the Perry rose. And so anyway, I've been hearing this commercial. It makes me laugh. I guess this whole I hate stevensinger.com. He's on billboards. He must be really well known in the Philly area. And the backstory is I guess women love him, men hate him, that kind of thing. But so when we were sort of preparing for today, I was trying to see if the color periwinkle had any particular significance anywhere other than at IHateStevenSinger.com, and I could find nothing. It's just a pretty color, and the people who like these roses love them. Every year they get their beloved a new rose, and they have this sort of rainbow assortment of these gold dipped roses, I guess.
Wow.
I'd rather have live roses.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, there's lavender.
Yes,
lavender is like love at first sight.
Oh.
Fascination, adoration, enchantment. Lavender's not too, there's some lavender in periwinkle.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
So maybe, well, if we combine lavender and blue, we've got love at first sight and ultimate desire and lust.
Okay.
That could
so
be
maybe that's what periwinkle is.
Periwinkle could be a good rose to get. It could be a good rose to get.
I fell in love and lust with you the minute I laid eyes on you.
See?
Happy Valentine's Day.
I like it. I mean, you've got the simple ones, right? Yellow, friendship, and peach it's like the thank you rose, the loyalty rose.
Interesting.
So you'd send somebody peach roses if you wanted to say thank you or express gratitude for something.
What if you get a whole bunch of different colored roses? Does that mean you're conflicted? I'm passionately in love with you.
I don't know how I feel about you.
Our relationship is over. Oh, these important questions.
I love multicolored bouquets, although typically that's something I would get for myself.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah. I think you rarely see those.
I feel like they sell them at Costco though.
Well, they might be less expensive. You know, having a whole bouquet of the same color rose. And
anyway, how's that for a nice little bit of this, a little bit of that? I think we kind of covered the whole spectrum.
I think we did. A little bit of venereal disease, some roses, some diamonds, some prenups.
Right.
Listen.
Happy Valentine's Day, everybody.
I think we did it.
You can pick and choose what parts of this you want to take with you.
Oh my God.
And celebrate accordingly.
That's right. So make your reservations ahead of time.
Yep.
Everybody will be booked.
Order your black roses now before the prices go up.
Only if you're breaking up. I mean,
that's just cruel.
It would be, God, can you imagine?
No.
What a terrible way. Although, no. Anyway, to each his own.
Right.
But I think that's it. I think we're wrapping up. We've got it. So this is the That's What She Pled podcast. We are Julie and Christy. We are at www.lawpoweredbywomen.com.
We are law powered by women.
We are. Maybe we should buy though. I hate Law Powered by Women. Some people do.
Let's stick with what we got. Well, that's true, but we're not ever going to be for everybody.
Maybe we will get black. Maybe we'll get black roses from somebody.
Steven Singer. Okay. I
anyway,
think we digressed enough. Happy Valentine's Day.
Yes, y'all have a good. We'll talk to you in a couple of weeks. Have a good week.
Thank you for listening to That's What She Pled podcast. Don't forget to click the follow button to be notified when new episodes become available. The information covered and posted represents the views and opinions of the guest and do not necessarily represent the views or opinions of Luhrsen Goldberg lawyers. The content has been made available for general informational and educational purposes only and may not constitute the most up-to-date legal or other information. The content is not intended to be a substitute for legal advice from your individual attorney, and the information provided does not and is not intended to constitute legal advice.